Guys, it is going down this weekend at UFC 292 as Sterling defends his belt against Suga Sean O'Malley, and my partners at DraftKings are offering an incredible deal for all new customers who sign up using my promo code Sonnen. New customers can bet just $5 on any of this weekend's fights and receive $150 in bonus bets instantly. You can even use your bonus bets on DraftKings same fight parlays for a shot at an even bigger payout. Combine multiple bets together from the same fight, including number of rounds and method of victory. Remember, DraftKings is the only place where you can bet same fight parlays. If sports betting is not yet available in your state, don't worry. You can still join in all the fun with DraftKings Daily Fantasy. So click on the link below and download the DraftKings Sportsbook app right now. Sterling O'Malley, who you got? Now, this isn't a prediction piece, okay? We're going to get into that. And that opinion for me is still forming. I mean, I'm not positive. Like here, I'll quote Randy Couture, the hay is in the barn. When you got to fight week, some guys would be pushing, they'd be tired and not want to go do workouts, and coach would want them to work out. And Randy was a super disciplined athlete, man. Coach sets practice. You hear there's practice, you go to practice. That's it. Except on fight week. On fight week, Randy was real big. Hey, what do you feel? You know, what's your body feeling like? You can get better by taking a nap on fight week if that's what you feel that your body needs. I mean, I just use that as an example. The hay is in the barn. We use that at Team Quest because Randy said it. We used everything that he said. But I will share with you, it is slightly different coming from a heavyweight in Randy who didn't have to worry about that scale. This week is an important week. I'm not convinced the hay is in the barn. And you want to know who else isn't convinced? DraftKings. Because guess what? They're even. Have you ever hear John Anik talk gambling? Or you ever hear Ian Parker talk gambling? They're exact. If you want to be exact, Suga Sean is the favorite, but he's a favorite by like $10. I mean, it's even money. It's minus 120 to plus 110, just to be exact with you, okay? But that's even. That's as even as you're going to get. You could look at Ian Gary taking on Neil Magny. It's 4-1. I mean, DraftKings isn't afraid to spread the butter around. And they're just not sure on this match. And frankly, I'm not either. Both of these guys are very good, right? We can all agree on that. Doesn't matter where you sit. You're a Sterling fan. You're an O'Malley fan. You're a reasonable person to say they're both very good. And moreover, people that have accounts and are willing to part with their hard-earned money at DraftKings, right down the middle. Now, what I would share for you, it would seem as though championship rounds would have to favor Sterling, just through the experience. And Sterling is tactical, and Sterling is not afraid to make adjustments. I mean, he made a big adjustment. If you go look at the rematch with Peter Yan, where Sterling threw away 2 rounds, he was so sure strategically that he won 3, that now he just needs to beat the clock. I mean, that's a risky game. And guess what? Guess who must agree with me? Sterling, because he gave away no rounds against Cejudo. And when he gave those 2 rounds away against Yan, which was very clear, he very clearly was no longer trying to beat Yan, he was trying to beat the clock. When he gave those away and it went to a split decision and he realized, hey, this is risky math. This is a risky strategy. A byproduct of that is many people that witnessed it thought you had a tired Sterling. And that was not true. I could see it very clear. I knew what he was thinking. From one wrestler to another, not fighter to fighter, from one wrestler to another, I knew when he was controlling mat space and he was eating up time. I share that with you because that got tested against Henry, who's going to put one of the best paces on you. He's one of the great competitors out there. Not only one of the great fighters, Henry Cejudo, he's one of the great competitors. He's never going to stop trying to beat you. And Sterling held up. Not a question he can go 25 minutes. There's a question for Sean. I've seen Sean get tired. I'm not suggesting that, or he doesn't train right. I'm not suggesting that. I'm saying if you have to give a nod in a category, one guy showed it and one guy hasn't been in that situation, right? It's one of those spots. Same thing goes with the end of the night. Same thing goes with main events. There's a lot of stuff here, and you will have to wonder Is Sean O'Malley ready to be champion? And that question is not an insult. In fact, that question directly implies that someday he will be. I'm just asking if it's now. I'll use my son because he's sitting in the corner. He's 8 years old, getting ready. A couple of weeks to go into the second grade. He can't drive. He's not ready to drive. He can't reach the pedals. That doesn't imply that he's not going to be a great driver when it's time. Right? I mean, do you see what I'm saying? People get scared of success. It's very hard to articulate. And the way Sean O'Malley has come up and the tests that have been put in front of him, including being ranked number 10, taking on number 1, a former world champion, Peter Yan's as good of a fighter as you're going to come across. Like, if you have a goal to go be a fighter and there's some magic wand, and they go, well, I could just make you as good as Peter Yan is right now. Take that deal, because you're likely to never get there. He's as good of a fighter as you're going to come across. Sean was ranked number 10. Many people thought that fight shouldn't happen. Dana stepped in, defended him, said you got to step up sometime, and it's now. And Sean dealt with it just fine. The reason I point that out is when I ask these questions, that they aren't to then plant a negative seed. Sean's the guy. DraftKings agrees that he's the guy. The fact that it's even money tells you that, but I'm still interested in this specific week. I will never forget about the greatest fighter of all time, George St. Pierre, who dominated Matt Hughes in a world title fight, and with 1 second left in a round, just gave Matt the match. Gave it to him. And then said after the match, I got in there and it was Matt Hughes and I just didn't think I belonged. Now I know that I do. And George never had a close match again. I just share with you, like, there's some things that happen. There's some experiences that you have to have. As much as I bring that up, I do believe there's probably an immunity to Sean O'Malley. There appears to be something special there. There appears to be not very many things that rattle him. I mean, the only time I've seen Sean O'Malley pissed off in his whole life is when Murad took his coat, which was one of the great moments I've ever seen in the octagon. I love it. I love that Sean got the coat back. There was 10 of them. They didn't have to give the coat back, and they gave him his coat back. You think they don't respect O'Malley? They gave him his coat back. I'm just sharing with you, like, these are big moments. How are you going to handle them? Nobody fully knows. Nobody, including the principals themselves. They're in their hotel room right now. They're thinking about it. It's all starting to sink in this week. It's all starting to come. It's all starting to dawn on them what the task is. How many eyes are on them? It's a big deal. When I bring up DraftKings odds and I tell you that it's even money, it's a very big deal because there's a massive pressure that is released. DraftKings is involved in fights. It's a massive pressure relieved from you when you're the underdog. It's a big deal to Sterling, by the way, that he puts himself in a position of being a victim, of being an underdog, of being overlooked, of having the deck stacked against him. It's a big deal to him. He will work hard to put himself in a hungry mindset of a guy that's going to prove himself. It's a hard thing to do when you're the favorite, even if it's this slight. And that's where these odds at draft, that's where this matters. It's the whole reason that I bring this up. Is Sean O'Malley ready to be the world champion?